Have you ever walked into a room and felt something shift before anyone said a word? Not silence, not tension, just a quiet change in the air. Like something inside people suddenly pulls back. Aquarius, this is not in your head. Some of them smile, some keep talking. But something in their eyes tightens like they're holding something down. Not because you did anything, not because you said too much, but because when you arrive they can no longer hide from themselves. Your presence doesn't make noise, it makes people feel. And when people feel something they don't understand, they don't confront it, they cover it. So if you've ever walked into a space and felt the room rearrange around you, leave a comment and say, "I feel it." Because what's happening around you is only the surface, and what's moving beneath it is about to reveal everything. You don't walk in with intention. You don't prepare a presence. You simply arrive as you are. And somehow that is enough to make the air lean toward you. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a way that asks for attention, but in the way a room subtly exhales when someone who feels real steps inside. You don't try to hold the moment, yet the moment holds you. It is as if the space recognizes you before people do. As if something in the walls remembers a version of you that others forgot how to be. Have you ever noticed how your body reacts before your mind catches up, how your shoulders soften or your breath slows when you enter a place even when nothing looks different on the surface? That is your inner compass speaking first. The one that feels currents long before they form waves. Aquarius, there is a frequency to you that does not chase approval. It doesn't announce itself. It just settles into the room like quiet light finding the floor. And light has a way of revealing what has been kept in shadow. Some people feel relief around you, like they can finally rest without pretending. Others feel unsettled, not because of who you are, but because your calm stirs a question inside them they have been avoiding. What part of me have I been rushing past? What truth have I been covering with noise? You don't ask these questions out loud, yet they rise anyway when you stand there. And when something inside someone begins to wake, they don't always know how to welcome it. Sometimes they tighten. Sometimes they look away. Sometimes they hide behind words that sound lighter than they feel. Not because they want to deceive you, but because they are still learning how to face themselves. You have always carried this effect, even when you were younger and didn't have language for it. Even when you tried to blend in, to move faster, to be easier to read. But your energy never learned how to pretend. It moves at its own pace, steady, unrushed, rooted in something deeper than performance. There is a quiet dignity in that. A sense of inner permission. And people notice even when they don't say your name. They adjust their tone when you pass. They become more careful with their words. They feel something shift in their chest that they cannot quite place. What would it feel like? They wonder. To live with that kind of space inside. You may think your presence is invisible, but it leaves impressions in places you will never see. It lives in the way someone pauses before responding now. In the way another finally chooses to protect their time. In the way a stranger feels less alone without knowing why. And still, you remain gentle. You remain open. You remain grounded. Not because you owe the world anything, but because you know who you are when no one is watching. Tell me, Aquarius, when was the last time you felt that quiet shift around you and realized something was moving beneath the surface? Not in fear, not in conflict, but in a soft awakening that asked you to stay exactly where you are. Because there is more unfolding here than you've been shown. And what is rising around you now is only the beginning of It isn't that they turn away from you. It is that something inside them turns toward itself the moment you appear. And not everyone knows how to stand in front of their own reflection. You don't bring pressure. You bring contrast. The kind that makes quiet questions rise from places people thought were asleep. Some of them feel it like a pause in their chest. A small ache that doesn't hurt, but asks. As if your presence gently reminds them of a road they once meant to take, a truth they placed on a shelf because it felt too large to hold back then. You move through life without forcing the current. You choose space when others choose noise. You honor your own timing even when the world is rushing past. And that freedom, that steadiness, stirs something that has been waiting to be named. They do not hide because you are dangerous. They hide because you are honest in a way they are still learning to be. Because when they stand near you, they feel the distance between who they are and who they quietly hope to become. Sometimes they smile and change the subject. Sometimes they keep talking, a little faster than before. Sometimes they fall silent, not knowing why their breath suddenly feels heavier. They are not closing you out. They are holding themselves together. You see, your calm is not empty. It is full of choices you have already made. Of boundaries you learned to draw when your heart needed shelter. Of moments you stayed true when it would have been easier to drift away. And when someone stands near that kind of inner stillness, their own unrest begins to speak. They may not know what they are feeling. They only know that something inside them has been touched. Something that cannot be covered with jokes or small talk. Something that asks for time and tenderness they have not yet given themselves. Have you ever noticed how people grow quieter around you? As if your presence slows the room just enough for them to hear their own thoughts. As if the air becomes a little softer, a little more real. This is not something you were taught. It is something you carry. A reminder that life does not have to be chased to be lived. That wholeness does not arrive in noise, but in quiet alignment. You are not here to awaken anyone. You are not here to change them. Yet something about you invites them to pause, to breathe, to remember. And in that pause, they meet parts of themselves they have not visited in years. Some will step toward that truth with courage. Others will step back, unsure, still gathering the strength to face it. Both responses are human. Both are allowed. What matters is you continue to honor the rhythm that feels like home in your body, to trust the way your heart moves through the world without apology, to know that your presence is not something to soften or dim. You are not too much. You are not too distant. You are simply standing in your own light. And when others hide what they feel, it is only because your energy has opened a door they did not know was there. So tell me, Aquarius, when someone shifts around you, when their eyes change for just a second, do you sense the story unfolding beneath their words? Because something deeper is stirring now, and it is gently guiding you toward a truth that is ready to be seen. There is a moment, Aquarius, when you realize the room is never just a room. It is a field of quiet stories, unfinished dreams, unspoken longings. And you move through it like a slow tide, touching places no one meant to open. Some people feel safe near you, even when they do not understand why. They watch from a distance. They notice the way you choose your peace. The way you leave chaos behind without burning bridges. They borrow your rhythm in silence, hoping it might one day become their own. You may never hear their voices, but you feel them when the air softens. When someone grows braver simply by standing near you, they do not know how to say thank you. So they carry your example quietly, like a small flame in their pocket. Then there are those who feel a storm when you arrive, not because you bring thunder, but because you remind them of a strength they have not claimed. They speak in sharp edges. They call you distant, complicated, too much, too different. What they are really saying is that your freedom unsettles the walls they built to feel safe. You never meant to challenge them. You only chose to live without shrinking. And for some hearts, that is a mirror they are not ready to face. There are also those who watch with a different hunger. Their eyes move quickly. They measure your light. They study your steps. They wonder how your independence feels in the morning, how your influence echoes in rooms you have already left. They do not want your journey. They want your destination without the distance. Your glow without the nights you spent finding it. And still, you remain gentle, because you know that scarcity speaks louder than cruelty ever could. None of this is about you being rare. It is about you being real. You walk through the world with your heart open and your spirit awake. And that kind of presence rearranges the invisible. Have you ever felt it? Aquarius, the shift when someone stands close, as if the atmosphere is deciding which truth to reveal. You are not here to judge who is around you. You are here to stay aligned with what feels like home in your soul. To keep choosing your own rhythm, even when others try to borrow, resist, or replace it. Every encounter is simply a reflection of where they are in their own becoming. Some are still learning how to see. Some are still learning how to stand. Some are still learning how to want without taking. And you are learning how to remain soft without breaking, how to remain bright without burning. So breathe into this moment. Let your energy settle back into your body. Feel the quiet strength that has always guided you here. Because the deeper you go, the more the universe begins to whisper in ways you cannot ignore. And something even more luminous is waiting to meet you. There is a subtle moment, Aquarius, when the world speaks before it moves. Not in words, not in actions, but in the quiet tremor beneath the surface. You feel it before you see it. A change in temperature. A pause that lingers 1 second too long. A question that sounds gentle yet carries a hidden weight. A compliment that lands softly but leaves a shadow behind. You do not rush to respond. You let the silence breathe. Because your intuition has learned the language of what is not said. You notice how eyes drift away when your name is spoken. How curiosity leans too close. How warmth sometimes hides a second intention. And still, you remain calm. Not cold. Not guarded. Just deeply aware. There is a wisdom in you that does not seek to expose. You do not pull back the curtain. You simply step into a different light. You have learned that not every space deserves your energy. Not every room deserves your presence. And when something no longer feels aligned, you shift without noise, without conflict, without needing anyone to understand. It is not escape, it is evolution. You change your rhythm. Your schedule softens around new priorities. Your conversations grow quieter, more intentional. You choose environments that feel like exhale, not effort. Some people will never notice when you leave. Others will feel the emptiness long after. And that is not your burden to carry. You were never meant to stay where your spirit begins to dim. There are moments when you wonder if you are too sensitive, too perceptive, too tuned into what others miss. But this awareness is not a weakness. It is a compass. It keeps you close to your truth. It protects the tenderness you hold inside. It reminds you that your peace is not negotiable. When the energy shifts, you do not chase clarity. You trust the knowing that rises in your chest, a gentle pull, a quiet no, a sense that your soul is ready for something lighter. Have you felt it lately, Aquarius, that whisper telling you to move toward a new horizon, even before the path becomes visible? This is how you honor yourself, not by demanding answers, but by listening when your inner world grows still. Every transition you make creates space for something more real, more nourishing, more aligned with who you are becoming. You are not losing anyone. You are returning to yourself. And as you step into this softer, brighter space, the universe rearranges around you in ways you cannot yet see. Stay with this feeling. Let it guide you. Because something is unfolding quietly and is preparing you for a connection that feels like home. There is something quietly beautiful about what happens after you choose yourself. Not right away, not loudly, but slowly, like the light changing through a window. People begin to move differently around you. They pause before saying yes. They breathe before answering. They question what they used to accept without thought. You do not announce this shift. You never meant to lead. Yet your way of being becomes a mirror they cannot ignore. They watch how you protect your time, how you leave when your heart grows heavy, how you honor your own limits without guilt, and something inside them begins to stir. They do not say you inspired them. They do not name you as the reason. But in quiet moments, when no one is looking, they choose themselves more often. They rest when they are tired. They stop explaining. They walk away from what no longer feels true. You become a reference point, Aquarius. Not a pedestal, not an idol. Just a quiet example of what is possible when someone lives in alignment. Your calm becomes a standard. Your freedom becomes a question they carry into their own lives. How does it feel to move through the world without asking permission to be who you are? They begin to sense that peace is not something to chase. It is something to create. And without ever meaning to, you show them how. There is a gentle gravity to your presence now. Not the kind that pulls people toward you, but the kind that pulls them back to themselves. They notice the space you leave between your thoughts, the softness in your eyes, the way you listen without trying to fix. In a world that rushes and performs, you move with intention. That rhythm lingers in the air long after you are gone. Some will follow it. Others will resist it. But all will feel its echo. Because your life speaks in a language deeper than words. It says you are allowed to choose differently. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to become more than you were yesterday. And in that permission, something heals. You were never meant to be loud. Your power lives in the quiet. In the spaces where people finally hear their own truth. Do you sense it, Aquarius, that the way you live is becoming a doorway for others even when you never invite them in? Stay gentle with yourself. This role is not a burden. It is a blessing in motion. The universe is using your stillness to teach others how to breathe again. And as they find their way, you will feel another shift rising. A new layer, a deeper connection. A story that is ready to unfold. Remain open. The next moment is already listening for you. There is a quiet truth you may not see yet. Some people no longer walk beside you. Their names have faded from your daily life. Their voices no longer fill your hours. But their hearts still recognize your presence when the world feels too heavy. In moments of exhaustion, when the noise of life presses too close, they remember how it felt to sit near you. Not because you fixed anything. Not because you gave advice. But because you listened as if their story mattered. Because you stayed without trying to change who they were. You offered them a space where they did not have to perform. Where their masks could rest. Where their breath could finally slow. That feeling does not disappear, Aquarius. It settles deep inside them, like a warm light they carry into darker days. Sometimes, when they cannot sleep, your energy returns as a memory of calm. A reminder that gentleness still exists. You become a quiet place they revisit without knowing why. Your spirit travels farther than your body ever could. And even now, in rooms you will never enter again, your presence still lingers like a soft echo in the air. Have you ever wondered how many hearts hold a piece of your peace without saying your name? There is something sacred in this. You are not meant to stay everywhere forever. Your role is not to remain. It is to awaken something and then allow it to grow on its own. You teach people how it feels to be accepted without conditions. And once they feel that, they begin to search for it within themselves. This is the invisible work of your soul. You may walk away quietly, but the seeds you leave behind continue to rise. Even those who could not love you well still carry the imprint of your care. Even those who let you go still feel the difference you made. And somewhere inside them, a softer version of themselves now exists because of you. This is not loss. This is expansion. You are learning that connection does not require constant presence. It lives in memory, it lives in feeling, it lives in the spaces between words. And as you move forward, you will begin to sense a deeper calling, a pull towards something unseen, a whisper inviting you into a new dimension of yourself. Stay open, Aquarius. Your journey is not ending. It is quietly becoming something more luminous. There is something about your freedom that people do not know how to hold. It is not loud. It does not ask for space. It simply exists, and that is what unsettles them. You walk through life without asking for permission to be who you are. You do not bend to be chosen. You do not shrink to belong. This quiet independence touches something fragile inside others. They begin to feel the weight of their own compromises, the choices they made to be accepted, the dreams they folded away to feel safe. Your presence does not accuse, but it reflects, and reflection can feel like exposure, so they hide, not because you are dangerous, but because you are real. They cover their truth with busyness, with laughter that arrives too quickly, with opinions that feel rehearsed. They build small walls inside themselves to avoid asking the questions you awaken. Who am I when no one is watching? What would I choose if I were not afraid? Your life invites them to remember the parts of themselves they abandoned, and that memory feels risky. Some will pull away. Some will become distant. Some will pretend they do not feel the shift. But all of them sense it. You show them that freedom is not rebellion. It is alignment. It is living without betraying your own spirit. And that kind of courage can feel unbearable to those still living in cages of their own design. They hide because your light reveals the places where they still feel trapped. They hide because your calm reveals the storms they have not yet faced. They hide because your wholeness reveals how much of themselves they left behind. This is not your responsibility to fix. You are not here to rescue. You are here to remind. And reminders can feel like mirrors. Have you ever noticed how people change around you when you choose yourself without apology? This is not rejection. This is resistance to their own awakening. Stay gentle, Aquarius. Do not dim yourself to make others comfortable. Your light is not too much. It is simply showing what is possible. And in time, some will find the courage to follow their own truth. Others will continue to hide. Both are part of their journey. You are walking yours with integrity. And as you move forward, you will feel another shift. A deeper understanding of your purpose. A stronger connection to your inner guidance. Something within you is expanding. Something is preparing you for the final revelation. Remain open. The next breath carries a new clarity. There is a stillness in you that does not ask to be seen. It does not compete. It does not explain. It does not reach outward for validation. It simply arrives. And when you are present, something inside the world adjusts. Not dramatically, not all at once, but subtly. Like the way the ocean changes the shape of the shore without ever raising its voice. You do not dominate a space. You harmonize it. People begin to breathe differently near you. Their shoulders lower. Their thoughts slow. Even when they try to hide what they feel, their bodies recognize your calm. You are not here to convince. You are not here to perform. Your energy speaks before you do. It says you are safe to be real. It says you are allowed to rest. It says you do not have to carry everything alone. This is your power, Aquarius. Not force, not control. Presence. The kind that softens what is rigid. The kind that reminds people of who they were before the world told them to become smaller. You do not need permission to be who you are. You do not need applause to know your worth. Your truth lives quietly inside you, steady and luminous. And those who feel it may not know how to name it, but they feel changed in your presence. Have you ever noticed how silence grows kinder when you enter a room? This is not coincidence. This is resonance. You carry a frequency that restores balance. Where others rush, you bring stillness. Where others react, you bring awareness. Where others seek approval, you stand rooted in yourself. And that steadiness becomes an anchor for those drifting in uncertainty. You remind them, without words, that peace is not something to chase. It is something to embody. Your presence is the message. Your being is the invitation. And as you continue walking your path, you will feel the quiet expansion within you. A deeper trust. A clearer vision. Sense that you are exactly where you are meant to be. You do not need to prove anything. You are already enough. Stay open, Aquarius. Your light is still unfolding, and wherever you go, even when they try to hide, they will always feel you. As the night settles around you and the world grows quiet again, take a moment to feel what has shifted inside. Not because of words, not because of a story, but because something in you recognized itself in this space. Aquarius, you were never meant to disappear into the noise. You were meant to be a signal, a gentle frequency reminding the world that there is another way to live. You do not have to harden to survive. You do not have to shrink to belong. You do not have to explain your light. Trust what moves through you. If something here touched your heart, leave a comment and say, "I am ready." Let your voice be part of this circle. And if you feel the pull to stay connected, to keep receiving messages that speak to your soul, subscribe and walk with us. This is more than a channel. It is a sanctuary for those who feel deeply, who see beyond the surface, who are learning to live in truth. Your journey is still unfolding. The next message is already on its way. Until we meet again, breathe deeply, move gently, and trust yourself. You are exactly where you are meant to be.